Good morning and welcome to Iyun on Mishna. Today we're learning Sheviis, Perek Dalid, Mishnah Zayin and Ches. Mishnah Zayin and Ches basically say the same thing, one about figs, one about grapes. Basically, if it's not ripe at all, there's an Isser to eat it during Shemitah. There's a machlokas. The Rav says the reason it's Asr is because la'achla, although Lahef said you can only eat Shemitah fruits. You can't destroy Shemitah fruits. And when you eat it when it's completely not ripe, that is considered to be destroying. The Rambam has a little different makor. The Rambam says, "Omer akostov inyan hashana Sheviis min asada tochlis tvuasa." You should eat the tvuasa. Amru einan echelas ashiyat tvua. V'aser la'achla ach te'eru la'achila. It has to be called tvua. It's not about la'achla v'la'hef. It's about eating it and not destroying it. If you eat fruit that's completely unripe, you're not really eating it, you're destroying it. It has to be a status of tvua. That's the Rambam's dependent on. It's called tvua. It's called produce. It's not called produce when it's not ripe at all. So there's two different reasonings. So the Mishnah continues to detail that there's two more stages. If it becomes a little ripe, right, you can eat it in the field with your bread, accompany your bread. Obviously, it doesn't taste so good, but it would accompany your bread, so you can eat it in the field. If it's fully ripe, then you can bring it to your house and eat it normally. The Rav brings the source for this, Yerushalmi, right? There's two psukim. One pasuk implies you eat it in the field. One pasuk implies you eat it in your house. If it's a little ripe, you're in the field. If not so ripe, you can eat it. If it's fully ripe, you can eat it in your house. That's the Rav says. And the Rambam doesn't say this exactly. The Rambam says basically that he's mashma that it's totally an achilas arai and achilas kva, which are halachas by trumas and maestros, eating it as a snack, eating fruits or vegetables as a snack, and eating them as a part of a meal. If you eat them as a snack, right, so then you could technically eat them before you take off trumas and maestros. Unless there's a kva, unless you're koveya them for trumas and maestros, by bringing them to your house or by doing kamar malacha, putting it into a kri, into a pile, before they could eat achilas arai, and then achilas kva is when you took on trumas and maestros only. He seems to say when it's only ripe a little bit, the Rambam's saying, so then it's called achilas arai, and therefore you can only eat it in the field. He says. Because the minhag, right? K'moshe minhag b'nei adam lechol berosem and hagam k'mo ken lechol hapri shalo bisha kol tzarko v'den akasha mat there actually is dam lehenem. V'yozeh amar yachol apagim mishiyazrichu. Avosado appears mishiyazrichu, right? And he says, because if, and he says over here, v'chein chayotze b'zer los nomar shashar kol mashiyitzma v'lonos sheyazrichu p'neihem v'zui svara shin t'pash lamat yochol mehem arai. He says the word arai she'agil atachas b'shlumim konei yisem l'tzal beso. He's basing the halachas in Shemitah based on the halachas of Trumas and Maestros. He's putting the two together. And therefore, you can eat achilas arai. It's called, a little bit of called tavua, you can eat achilas arai. Where he knows this from, maybe he's relying on the Yerushalmi, maybe he's just relying on Hilchos Maestros, Trumas and Maestros. You eat it arai, we found that it's considered arai, it's to eat it in the field, it's considered arai. To bring it to your house is already called kva, and you'd have to be complete tvua. If it's partial tvua, you can eat it as a snack. If it's complete tvua, it's fully ripe tvua that everyone would eat, you can bring it into your house and eat it there. And depend on this will be the machlokes, how you learn the end of the Mishnah. And similarly, the Mishnah links the halachas of eating Shemitah fruits to when they become chayiv in Shumos and Maestros. Now, the Tiferes Yisrael, the Rav doesn't explain, but the Tiferes Yisrael is bishlu l'keperakama de Maestros. He brings the second Mishnah in Mesachas Maestros that says that when the figs reach full growth, right, full ripening, so then they're chayiv in Shumas and Maestros. The Rambam here says something very interesting. He says when they become ripened a little bit, then they come to Meiser. So there's footnotes here. Ask, how could it be? The Rambam, the Mishnah in Maestros seems to say only when it's fully ripe they're chayiv in Shumas and Maestros. The Rambam seems to indicate somewhere else not like this. Problem with this Rambam. The answer is he doesn't say chayiv in Maestros. The Rambam says la'onas ha-Maestros. We'll have to get more into this Mesechus Trumas and Maestros, but based on the fact that he's learning about achilas arai and achilas kva, onas ha-Maestros, there's two parts to Truma Chayiv and Trumas and Maestros, right? There's even if something's fully ripe, there's achilas arai and achilas kva. You could technically eat it as a snack beforehand, even though. And when is that? When can you start eating it as a snack? You can start eating it as a snack once it reached a little bit ripe. That's when it's royal achila. So then you can eat a little bit ripe. That's called onas ha-maestros according to the Rambam, because he's depending on all these halachos and achilas arai and achilas kva. All these halachos about talking about the geder the ways of deciphering Trumos, deciding when to take off Trumos and Maestros, what year it's part of. So therefore, he learned Onus on Maestros. Achilas Arai starts just like by Maestros. It starts from. He explains it's talking about a little bit ripe. So therefore, Shemitah also a little bit ripe is considered Achilas Arai. It's considered a snack, right? It's not because, according to the Rav, I would say the reason you're eating these in the Sada with your bread is a relish. It's to accompany your bread. According to the Rambam, if it's a little bit ripe, you eat it as a snack, not as part of a meal, as a relish, as a dip to eat your bread in. That would be the difference over here. That's why he says Onas HaMaishos, that Achilas Arai, it's called a snack already at that point. Not that it's Chayiv in Shumas HaMaishos, it's only Chayiv fully in Shumas HaMaishos once you bring it into your house or you make it into a Kri. We'll get more into this in Meseches Maestros, Shumas HaMaishos. I don't think we did these yet. I started in Kilayim. I forgot what Demai was before. I don't remember if anything else was before. Maybe Peya, but Shumas Maestros we didn't get to. We'll get to that coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll see. Bye.